Hey, bad guy. All right, man, you gotta talk to me. We're talking about how Conor McGregor got dominated, right? Round one, 10-8 round, all three judges. Everybody says, okay, if the fight went on, it doesn't matter. Bisping's criticized Kavanaugh. Look, don't be delusional. Conor wouldn't have won if the fight continued. And I don't necessarily disagree with that 100%. But how are we going to sit here and say that when the current sitting lightweight champion of the world is the champion after losing the first round of the championship fight? 10-8. Go check the scorecards for Chandler Oliveira. We know Charlie Olives is the champion now, but he got dominated in round one, and 2 out of the 3 judges gave Chandler a 10-8 before Oliveira went on to win the belt. How can we not give McGregor the same benefit of the doubt here that he might have had a chance to win the fight? Thanks, Chael.
Hoisted by my own baton. That is an interesting point by you. It really is an interesting point. Now, the Charlie Oliveira fight versus Chandler, that was significantly different in all fairness. If we're only going to turn to the 10-8 as our reasoning, you got legs to your argument, right? You have legs there. You're using some wordplay, but it's still well done. I'm going to give you full credit. That was a different fight. If you'll recall, Oliveira had knocked Chandler down, had swarmed him, made the fight eligible for TKO, which is what makes it eligible for a 10-8, but Chandler came back. Do you remember that round? Chandler had his own moments within that fight. Conor just didn't have any. He just didn't. I'm not crazy about continuing to speak about this fight. I was just on ESPN doing the Chael Sonnen show, by the way. Would appreciate if you all gave that a watch over on Plus, but I want to tell you this. I'm finding myself every time I talk about this fight putting Conor down. I just don't like that. I don't like to kick a guy when he's down. I like to offer him a hand up. If I want to knock him down later, it's a different story, but not once he's already down. No part of me is looking to do that, and I hope that my words aren't coming out that way. There's also no other way for me to talk about and reflect on that fight and find a positive outlook. It was a beating. It was a very bad beating. There was nothing that went great for Conor, not to mention the IQ. I mean, I really got to turn to that, and I feel that I'm the only one that's talking about that. To pull a guillotine on Dustin Poirier, right, with high risk comes high reward, but to pull a guillotine up against the fence, there was simply no chance of that working, and he never recovered from that position. So I got to give him a knock. I don't fault him for trying to win the fight and trying to finish it. You got to go do those things. You got to take those risks. But to come to that position, not realize that it was lost as soon as Dustin cleared the legs, instantly get to an underhook and use that wall to get yourself to her feet, it's just not what Conor would have done in any other fight. So there was some slipping there, not just with the hands, not just with the feet, not just with the lack of offense from the bottom or the inability to stand up, but also with the IQ that puts you in that position to start with. Now, that doesn't totally pertain to what you're asking. You're asking, how can we count Conor out just because it was a 10-8? We can't. We simply can't. I also don't know that I've heard that argument made. I know that I certainly haven't made it. I have made one argument, which is for the fight that did take place. It was a domination. It was a beating. To prove my thesis that it was a dominant beating is where I bring in the 10-8 rounds. It wasn't 3 10-8s, by the way. It was 2. Sal D'Amato had it 10-9. So I only bring that to you because for what did take place under the unified rules, the fighter in the corner did not stop it. The referee considered but did not, and a higher power stepped in. That's not great. And Conor really wanted to be Dr. Stoppage. He thought that was a good reason. That was a good reason to explain away a defeat. Well, the doctor stopped it, as though that's brushing it off. I'm correcting that. That has never been told accurately. And boxing's guilty too. When a doctor has to step in, think about it in boxing, right? You've seen guys get cuts. You've seen where it's so bad or his eyes closed. I mean, some really tough stuff where the referee stops it, brings the doctor in. Everybody's breathing. Everybody's getting rest. Everybody's getting recovery time. And the doctor waves it off. The ref should have made that call. In all fairness, that's the way the story should be told. The doctor has to come in. The ref should have made the call. The doctor is now trumping the ref. He has a higher degree. He has a higher recognition within the commission standing, and he is making a call that the ref should have made, which quickly makes you wonder, why did the fighter not make it? Okay, great, pat on the back. He's a tough guy, but why did the corner not make it? I think that those are fair questions. That's not the hill I'm looking to die on. I understand how these things happen. I understand the way that I'm saying it versus a reality of a doctor having to come in and give a thing a look and the issue of safety. I understand there's some room here. It's a fair point by you, though. I do remember the Oliveira-Chandler fight having its moments. More for Oliveira, but Chandler coming back. Chandler's an interesting one, too. Now that you want to talk about Chandler, what is Chandler going to do next? I am very curious what he's going to do. Chandler, in my opinion, has a pretty hot hand. Nobody has come into the UFC ever better than Chandler did. In fact, it would go in this order: Chandler, number 1 debut, number 2, Gaethje. Do you remember Gaethje's debut against Michael Johnson? He's giving the bird, he's knocking him down, he's putting pressure on him, he's yelling at him, he's having fun, he's being a showman, and he beats Michael Johnson, which is a hard thing to do. Gaethje parlayed one time in the octagon to being a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Being a coach on The Ultimate Fighter is the greatest vehicle, marketing-wise, that the industry knows. It is the greatest vehicle, marketing-wise, that the industry has ever known. So I only bring that, what a great job Gaethje did. And if I'm putting Chandler in front of him, it tells you how good Chandler did. Now, Chandler goes out, he does the Fight Island business, where he's willing to take on Gaethje or Khabib on a moment's notice. That's some courage right there. Comes in, does the hooker business, goes right into a world title fight, had his spots. That was a great fight. Good job for Oliveira. I don't dispute how that went. But if you tell the story that Oliveira ran through Chandler, that also did not happen. That was a great, fun match. And they both had their spots. And Chandler was this close to the referee calling it a TKO in his favor. That's the second round. How does what we saw there tie into, did Conor have a chance? Sure, I wouldn't dismiss a guy. I think that now we're talking about talking just for the sake of it. There's nothing within Conor's history or his career that says he does better in the second round than he does in the first. None, not one match. But he has the right to try, right? 10-8 round by the judges. I can sit here and say, well, the referee should have stopped there, or Conor should have tapped, or the corner should have stopped. Saved by the bell. Who gives a goddamn? They didn't. And he lives to fight another day, which would be the next round if that leg hadn't happened. But that isn't how it was called. That's not what the unified rules say. Many people are doing that for Nate Diaz as well, saying, well, if he would have just had 20 more seconds, he would have stopped Leon. That's not the way the game is played. We can do those things all the time. It's not the way the game is played.